Hello and welcome to the Imaging Wire Show. My name is Brian Casey and I'm managing editor of the Imaging Wire. Got a great episode for you today. Our topic is New Horizons in Molecular Imaging, and our guest is Dr. Stephen Lokitz. He is Director of Imaging Sciences at the Center for Molecular Imaging and Therapy in Shreveport, Louisiana. Stephen, thanks for being with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thanks for having me. So my background is I'm a medical physicist, specifically in PET imaging. So that's what I focus on. And I've trained at Duke University in their PET center and then moved to Shreveport about 15 years ago. And I've been with the CMIT and in this program for, coming up on 16 years.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about CMIT and what it does?
Yes. CMIT is the latest name of the PET imaging program here in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's been around since the mid-90s and has gone through quite a few iterations. The latest iteration is to focus on research, specifically radiopharmaceutical research and development. We have basically three arms here. One is clinical human imaging, and one is radiopharmaceutical manufacture and development, and then the third is basic science, which is to support the development of new radiopharmaceuticals.
Wow, that's quite a range. So you're doing everything from patient care to, really basic science.
Our tagline is a one-stop shop for radiopharmaceutical R&D. So we hope that we have, or we will have all the pieces to participate in any phase of radiopharmaceutical development, from target lead development through preclinical imaging and work through clinical trials, and ultimately with a successful product into the clinic.
All right, very good. So Shreveport is in northwestern Louisiana. Can you tell us a little bit about the area and the region in terms of access to research facilities and access to healthcare?
Sure. So yes, we're northwest corner. Really can't be any closer to Texas than we are without being in Texas. So the climate is quite a bit different than what people traditionally think about Louisiana, with swamps and alligators and the like, although we do have some gators up here. We're lucky. Shreveport is a decent size city. We have a med school here in town. We have several other medical facilities that, while not academic, they push the envelope. For instance, one of the programs down the street, a different institution, has proton therapy, the very first single gantry proton therapy system in the world, which is not something you see every day in a city of about 200,000 people. So we do have a good collection of resources. We're not at the top of everything, but the things that we do are pretty good. And we have a very large catchment area because we're the major metropolitan area for Northwest Louisiana.
What are some of the clinical issues that you're seeing in that region? Are they maybe a little bit different than other parts of the U.S.?
Yes, Louisiana has some real problems in healthcare delivery. Healthcare disparities here are some of the widest of any state in the country. We range from top of the line private hospitals here to the hospital that we collaborate with the most closely, which is the med school, which has a hospital.
Let's talk about the research side a little bit. So CMIT, as you mentioned, you support clinical and radiopharmaceutical development as well as basic science. On the radiopharmaceutical side, what sort of research studies are being conducted? What kind of radiopharmaceuticals are you working with there?
So the radiopharmaceutical world is exploding right now in a good way. Every day it seems like there's a new compound from a new company or an existing company that's bringing it to market to target a new disease, either with diagnostic or therapeutic, or sometimes both with the Theranostics. That seems so exciting. We have in our radio manufacturing facility a brand new cyclotron, significant hot cell space and synthesizer space. And so we are participating in multiple trials right now. Well, the main trials we're working on is with a compound called F-DOPA, and it's used for congenital hyperinsulinism. We partner with Cook's Children in Fort Worth, Texas, with a researcher there who's using that to identify and essentially cure congenital hyperinsulinism in infants. And we are working with another biotech company that has some therapeutics for a similar disease, and we're shipping, believe it or not, shipping that compound around the country. It's a little bit insane that we fly doses to Boston and even my old stomping grounds at Duke. I like calling them every day, and when they get a shipment, say, hey, remember where that came from?
So you're shipping radiopharmaceuticals to some of these, like,
absolutely,
really top tier academic centers. Why is that? With the what's the dynamic that's going on there?
So there seems to be a market inefficiency, and that's part of the reason CMIT has come to exist, to fill this this niche, in that there is really two levels of radiopharmaceutical manufacturing in this country. There's the academic centers who are doing great development work and research and coming up with new compounds every day, but they're not really set up or designed to provide commercial clinical doses or late stage clinical trial doses. That's not really what they're interested in, and frankly is probably a waste of their talents to be, once it gets to that point, to continue working on that. On the other hand, we have lots of fantastic commercial manufacturers, that's Cardinals, Sophies of the world, who do a fantastic job, but they're busy getting out the doses that need to be used clinically every single day. And so we kind of sit in the middle there, where we do commercial work. So that means we're comfortable with the FDA and we're FDA approved and the like, but we're really focused on research. And so while we do the commercial clinical work, what we really want to do is the boutique novel things that where we can help. And so that, for these clinical trials where they need rigid QA QC for the manufacturing, we're an excellent site for those guys, because we can do it the same way every time and get it to where it needs to go. Like I said, it's very expensive, significantly more so than the cost of the dose itself, but there's a reason they're coming to us, and so we're pleased and proud to help them.
Interesting. And my guess is you guys would have to be pretty good at logistics as well, given the half-life of some of these radiopharmaceuticals.
It is a challenge, and it is, yes, as a physicist, I never thought I would become an air traffic controller or but we've had instances where there was weather in the way, and we had to arrange a police escort from the airport to the hospital so they got there in time. We've had scenarios where the plane had an engine malfunction, didn't make it, which as terrible as that is, it's better than the plane crashing. But so yeah, it's a real challenge, and I think we are trying to work with our sponsors that instead of us sending the dose to them, it might be more efficient for them to send the patient to us and image here, which it's significantly cheaper for a patient to get a American Airline or Delta air ticket than it is to charter a plane and get a dose up there in an 8 or 10 hour expiration time.
If a patient gets waylaid on the way, you don't have that half-life issue that you might have with a
Plus they get to come visit lovely Shreveport, and so we get to show off a little bit. So yeah,
there you go.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Theranostics is exploding, and I've heard this from a lot of other sources. Why do you think that is? So Theranostics being, the use of a radiopharmaceutical to both diagnose and then treat disease. Why is it exploding so much?
Well, because it's diseases that we don't have effective treatments for, and so it's the same old, but a long-term statement that if you can see it, you can kill it. And the same thing, if we can see it with a diagnostic, then it's if it's the same radiopharmaceutical or same pharmaceutical with a different isotope on it that goes to the same location, then we could deliver a payload. And so I think it's the biggest issue for us in the radiotherapy realm, I believe, is dosimetry and knowing what we're dosing to the patients. And so having a theranostic where the biodistribution of the diagnostic is the same as the therapeutic alleviates that need, because you already know where it's going to go and you know what the dose to the patient is. And I think that's it's remarkable what we've been able to do to this point, but to take to the next step, we really have to have patient-specific dosimetry to know that your tumor is not the same size as my tumor, and so the standard dose for you may or may not have the same result as a standard dose for me. And so, but if we know that you had, just picking random numbers, 32% uptake in the tumor, and I only had 22% uptake in the tumor, we can adjust the dose accordingly so that we get the same delivered dose to the tumor and hopefully get the same response. And that's only if you can see what's going on.
You recently expanded at CMIT with the acquisition of a new PET CT scanner from United Imaging. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it has changed your operations?
Yes. So we in 2022 we completed a $20 million expansion of our facility, with a brand new building, about 20,000 square foot facility, with like I said, with the expanded radiochemistry and the basic science. And we had a single scanner, and we quickly realized that the flaw in our model was that well, even though we're in control of that scanner, doing clinical and research on the same scanner was going to end up being problematic in the long term, because some of these clinical trial studies that we hope to participate in are long. They might be a biodistribution, a first in human type study where the patient's on the camera for 3 or 4 hours. And how do you coordinate both of those things together? So we pretty quickly realized we needed a second scanner. And so we went to our mother institution, and they said, well, we'll go get a grant. And I kind of thought, okay, that's the kiss off, but they did it. They were successful in getting a federal grant, and didn't quite cover the entire thing. So the mother institution paid for the rest of it. And so we went to identify and acquire a scanner. We decided very early on that we needed to get a really high-end, technologically advanced scanner, because we're already in Shreveport, we're already in Louisiana, we're not in Boston, we're not in Houston or Dallas or Austin or San Francisco, where everybody knows is high-end research is being done there. And so we really wanted to give collaborators no excuse to come work with us. And so we said, okay, we need to identify the best and the most technologically advanced machine. We did an RFP, so everybody had a fair chance at this, but the United machine, really the specifications from it really were, from the first time we learned about it, very exciting. And when we've had it now for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, and the image quality has just blown us away. So we're extremely excited with it.
And what's the model of that PET CT scanner?
It is the U Panorama. So it's some of the parameters that are of interest to us were the 35 centimeter axial field of view, which means it covers more of the patient in a shorter amount of time. It increases the sensitivity. As a physicist, the characteristic that was the most exciting to me was the time of flight resolution. It was under 200 picoseconds, and I think we got 190 or 191 when we did our NEMA testing, which was very exciting. And so it's just been really fun to learn about and to bring it online.
And it's got a pretty wide field of view, doesn't it?
Yeah, the 35 centimeter field of view. It's got a larger bore than what we've had previously. It's 76 centimeter diameter versus 70 centimeter diameter. And to be perfectly frank, I didn't think that was a big deal, but the patients they keep talking about how much bigger that is. And it's only 2 inches, but that apparently
that's a lot. Right, when you're stuck in that bore, and you don't have that much room. 2 inches is a lot.
Yes, and so that's been a big deal. It flares out as you leave, which is nice. So that as they go through the back of the scanner, it opens up, and it's not just a solid tunnel that you travel through for. And the other thing is it's considerably faster than our older scanners, and so that's we're seeing scans, and by no means have we optimized things yet. We're still tweaking and figuring things out, but we're getting scans as short as whole body from top of the head to toes in 7 minutes, which is really exciting. And we have lots of late stage patients who are in considerable pain, and laying on that table for 30 minutes is a challenge. And so we've been successful getting some folks through that weren't able to get all the way through on the previous cameras just because it's faster.
And how has the scanner changed your operations there at CMIT? I mean, is it made it easier? Can you do more research studies? I mean, it sounds like you can probably do more patients, but can you do more research studies, a wider range of studies?
Yes, so definitely more. I don't think well, how do I want to say this? Definitely more scans, more patients, whether they're research or not. The capability is higher in terms of sensitivity and things like that, so we can do lower dose studies, which is important for the first stages of clinical trials where we're doing healthy volunteers and we want to keep exposures as low as possible. And we have great plans to bring back cardiac imaging, which we hadn't been able to do for a while. And we've been the biggest, sorry, and the other thing that we're checking out is we expect a lower injected dose into the patients, which both makes my radiochemist happy because they don't have to make as much activity, but it also is significant for the patients because if we can lower their exposure burden from the tests that they're having to do, that's a good thing for everybody. So we're just shocked at what we're seeing. Shocked is probably, that's not a very scientific term, but we're pretty excited, and we're seeing things that we didn't see before. And in fact, the very first patient that we ran through, we did the scan and we sent it to the interpreting doc, and within 15 minutes I got a call and they said, "Hey, we see these 2 lesions," and we went back and looked at the old images and we think they're there, but we just simply couldn't resolve them to the point where we could confidently call them. In this case, turned out they were benign, but it was still, it was like, wow, first patient, you don't expect, it's going to be better, it's going to make a difference, but the very first patient right out of the gate, and we saw something pretty exciting. So
that's got to make you feel like you made the right decision there.
Absolutely. And so really, we have not, we're discussing big changes in the way we operate. Like I already mentioned, injected dose of the patients. We took great pains for a long time to, well, we still take great pains to maximize image quality. So we do things that not all centers do. Like our uptake time is 90 minutes versus 60 minutes for FDG. We diurese all of our patients and hang IV bags, which a lot of sites don't do. And we administer Lasix and barium oral contrast, which some sites do, some sites don't, but those are lots of steps that we took to get excellent image quality on older technology scanners that I think a lot of that is not going to be necessary with the improved technological capabilities of this machine.
Can you tell us what are some of the research studies that you've got going on with radiopharmaceuticals? Is there anything you can let us know about that kind of gives us an idea of what you're doing with this new scanner?
Sure. So we just wrapped up participation in the new ideas study, which was for Alzheimer's and dementia. We have, which that's not a clinical trial now. It's clinically relevant, but we've done quite a few amyloid imaging patients on this new scanner, and it's once again that large axial field of view. It makes it so easy because the techs don't have to struggle to position the brain just right to make it fit in a 15-centimeter field of view. The other clinical trials that we're working on right now are breast cancer. We both with FDG, and we are also participating in a trial that uses F18 FES, which is trade name is Cerianna, and that goes to hormone-resistant positive lesions. And so the trial is trying to show the utility of that radiopharmaceutical and how it would change clinical care. So that's an example of what we're doing today. We have plans to do more. Some of those FDOPA plans or trials are going to hopefully come to Shreveport if they start finding their patients here. So that's an example of what we're doing on the clinical side. On the preclinical side, we're just getting that operation up off the ground, but our first trial is going to be with drug addiction with a researcher at the medical school down the street, LSU HSC, and that they have a therapy or a therapeutic to help people fight their addiction, and we're going to do some preclinical measurements to see if we can quantify the effects of their treatment and hopefully take that imaging technique into humans to help them quantify the therapeutic.
Very good. What impact, when it comes to just actual clinical care, what impact do you think this new scanner is having on residents of Northwestern Louisiana?
They are getting in faster because we can do more patients. Their scans are done quicker, so they're not here. They could have been here for 3-4 hours sometimes in the old scanners, and sometimes they still are, but they're getting out quicker. I think the biggest thing is that we're seeing more, getting more diagnostic information because the resolution and the sensitivity is improved. We're seeing things that they just didn't see before, and so hopefully that. I don't have any hard data to say that's improving lives or anything like that yet, but we will be studying that carefully, and hopefully we'll be able to say, well, we're able to intervene quicker, or what I found mostly in cancer is not necessarily intervening quicker, but it's changing therapies faster if you know it's not working, and so we can identify that. I hope and improve their lives. The other way that we hope that we're going to impact on our residents up here is bringing some of these clinical trials to Shreveport. That because of the radiopharmaceutical manufacturing we have, and because of the cutting edge scanner that we have, we hope that we'll be attractive to land more clinical trials where these folks might have had to drive to Houston or Dallas or farther to participate. And for some of us, that's feasible, although it's definitely intrusive to have to drive it's a 4.5-hour drive to Houston. If I had to go every week for a clinical trial that might take 3 years, that would be a real problem. Once again, we working with the medical school and the safety net hospital, most of those patients just don't have the wherewithal to do that. So if it's not here and available to them, it's just not available to them and or accessible. So that's really how we hope that we'll be able to make an impact, is bringing these things in earlier, even if they're in the clinical trial stage, and adopt. And we've been, to be fair, I think that prior to CMIT's name, we were the Biomedical Research Foundation. They were successful. When I moved here from Duke, they had a higher per capita usage of PET imaging than almost anywhere else in the world, based on population here, and that was due to the hard work of the physicians and physicists who were here before me to teach the local referring physicians and residents about the value of PET. And so I think we're coming up to another step here in the evolution of molecular imaging, where all these therapies are coming online. Yeah, we know what FDG does. We know how that's great, but now all these other things are coming, and we're trying to position ourselves to take advantage of that and really provide that to people up here in Northwest Louisiana.
Well, it's great that you're able to bring resources like this to that region. Any other things we should look forward to from CMIT in the upcoming year?
Let's see. We are continuing to expand the basic science department. We've got our microimaging program online. We're hoping to bring biology and chemistry online this summer, which will be allow us to do tissue culture and biodistribution studies for preclinical work. We hope that we will be doing contract manufacturing for a variety of radiopharmaceuticals. We will hopefully be doing continue to expand our clinical trial operation, and with those new radiopharmaceuticals that we hope to bring and have access to here, that will lead to some other clinical trials for things such as brain cancer or Alzheimer's or prostate cancer, all the hot button issues that everybody's working on. And we continue to grow. I think right now we're at 15 or 16 employees, and our model calls for us by 6 or 7 years to be about 40 people. So that's we got a long way to go. But we expect to, when it's all said and done, to have 10 or so terminal degrees, PhDs, MDs, pharmacists on staff, and then a whole slew of technologists and technicians who, of course, will do all the real work and allow us to sit back and just, no, of course not, that's the case, but
watch the radiopharmaceuticals fly out.
Right. Yes. We just count the photons as they fly by now. But so we've got big plans. I have to say it's been a slower transition than we'd hoped. But that's the way everything is. When you first start out, you have optimistic plans and everything's going to go right, and everything doesn't always go right. But we're constantly moving forward, which is, I think, the right thing, and so we're making progress. So
right, sounds like you guys are on the right track.
I hope so, and I'm a true believer in this model. I think this is something that's good for Shreveport. It's good for the region. It's good for the nation. It's good for the molecular imaging community because there aren't too many non-academic centers out there with this collection of resources and this interest to participate in really anything that we're interested in. So there'll be projects that we'll work on that will pay the bills. There'll be projects that will work on that will improve healthcare for patients. There'll be projects that we work on that we're just interested in and we want to participate in and maybe get manuscripts and things like that out. So it's we're in a really remarkable spot with the support of our mother institution that we're able to do that and be I call ourselves pseudo academics, where we get to act like we're academics, but we're not in an academic setting. So that's I would say, the best of both worlds.
Very good. Well, we'll look forward to following your progress. Some great discussion today. I'd like to thank Dr. Stephen Lokitz of CMIT for being with us.
Great. Well, thank you. And I hope this is helpful. And anybody who wants to come visit, all my information's available on the web. We love nothing more than showing off what we're trying to do and getting other people's thoughts about how we can do it better.
All right. Very good. Signing off for the Imaging Wire, my name is Brian Casey.